To support this podcast, go to positivesarcasm.com/donate. Any amount is appreciated. Once again, positivesarcasm.com/donate. Thank you and enjoy the program. Bored housewives, so they're generally hitting the Moscato too because they need something sweet in their lives because their husband is sour. That ring on your finger? Some pygmy died digging that out of a hole for you to say I do and ruin some guy's like, you know, look at that dude. He's got a hernia shaped like a bag of pretzels that he just ate. You're going to Thailand, you're going to smash some dude. Going over there for guy time, but it's not with his buddies. What does it say on the bottle? Well, if it says that on the bottle, why did you put it on your head? All these actors did was shut their mouths because they didn't want to be run out of Hollywood. Now a bad batch of Chinese food has you blowing insurance premiums on vitamin fucking D.
Too much.
That's what we're
I
going
sound like
for
Bill
here.
Maher. Really, John?
Really?
We can't do this anymore, Auntie. I'll see you at the bar mitzvah. It's almost like it never existed, but it fucking did. So do me a favor. Go yourself. PositiveSarcasm.com, recorded here from the sandbox. Like, subscribe, share, donate. PositiveSarcasm.com/donate. Any amount is appreciated. If you're a fitness competitor getting ready for next year's fitness competitions and you need some posing music, whether it's 60 seconds or 3 minutes, you can email me directly, positivesarcasm@outlook.com. You can also contact me directly through my website, of course. You just go to the contact section of my website and just hit me up with whatever you need. I'm more than happy to help. I'll even call you directly. If you have any other questions, concerns, comments, of course, you can email me, of course. You hit me up through my social medias, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok when I'm on there. I'll tell you, that one's pretty... that'll keep you going for days, is that freaking TikTok, man. I try really hard not to go into... You know what really kills me is like Facebook Marketplace. I love Craigslist. I love looking, searching for whether it's like used cars or property or rentals and things like that. Just, in FB Marketplace has a lot of that. So that one they got me hooked on. But for the most part, I'm generally not on there. I mean, I was following like some of the Rittenhouse stuff and a couple of things. But I've been wanting to get to this one. This is a delicate situation, but now it's hitting closer to home. And this stuff is really starting to bother me. Look, I think we all went to school. And as soon as we hit, we all thought we were badasses in 5th and 6th grade. We were getting A's and B's. We were honor roll. We knew what we were doing. And then for some reason, we hit 7th, 8th grade, and we all felt, or at least I did, felt kind of stupid. All of a sudden, the math kind of went from being like, oh, this is nothing, just, take the test, and this is this, and this is that, and 9 times 6 is 54. The next thing you know, it's like, how did I get a D on this paper? I don't understand. And, it was just a different school. You felt like a fish out of water. You were afraid you're going to get beat up. There was so many other things that you had to concern yourself with when you hit middle school and high school. And this latest thing is not one that anybody was really prepared for, not even the kids themselves, and they don't even know how to react to it. Kids are just looking to get accepted and get through the aquarium of death that is high school. I mean, and then on top of all that, you wanted to graduate, you wanted to identify, you wanted to belong. It's like, oh, they got a cell phone. Why can't I have a cell phone? They got a Facebook account. Mom, why can't I have a Facebook account? All my friends are going out. Why can't I go out? Oh, my friend, Sarah's parents let her drink. Why can't I drink? All these are all things, all this craziness while you're developing, you really don't need to pile on any more stuff than there already is on a growing person, on a student who's still in the learning process than there already is. And school already sucks enough, and now it's sucking even more because they're just adding in more nightmare scenarios where most of these teachers are not prepared for it, and to be honest, there's no real way to prepare for it. So, I have a curriculum here. This is like a standard curriculum you would have if you go to school, year 7. Excuse me. English. You've got English Plus, which for accelerated reading and skills, which was me. You had math. There was 6 lessons over 2 weeks. There was Math Plus. So if you were you had to take your English, you had to take your math, you had to take your science, you had humanities, which is history and geography. Two very different things. It's important to learn your geography so you know where you're going. It's important to learn your history so you know where you've been. And then you have language class. So if you're going to study abroad, or if you want to be a bit more hireable in the workforce, it may be important to learn either French, German, and most likely either Chinese, Japanese, or Spanish. I don't know what happened to Latin, but sorry. Then, of course, if you wanted to get into computing, you definitely need computing skills, whether it was graphics art, technical skills, computer science, computer programming. Then you had physical education, which is super important and definitely takes a lot of energy. So that is one thing that's also super important. Now, then you have your art class and your drama class and your music class. So your extracurricular creative classes on top of that. So you had all of that packed into one. This is just year 7. Just you being fresh into middle school. So you've already got a lot on your plate. And the amount of book bags I see these little girls walking around with is enough to break my back. You know, year 8, there's more lessons, there's more math, there's science. I mean, it's a workload. It's a serious workload for the average student. And then if they want to actually excel, they got to go from, you know, basic algebra to calculus or trigonometry. And then if they wanted to do advanced English, they got to take a harder class where there's more testing. Same thing with computer programming. If you're doing Visual Basic, but you wanted to learn C++, now there's other things like XML and whatever the new stuff is for programming. History and geography, that would probably be something I should have excelled in, and if I was given the proper lessons and the proper teachers, I think I could have done a lot better in just exploring just history and just geography. PE was basically just PE. Go ahead and run around in a circle for 1 hour, and then that's about it. So, in any of this, where does this leave the student time to learn about diversity, inclusion, pronouns, any of this stuff that's now becoming sort of mainstream? And now they have faculty that are hired specifically to write out these areas of the curriculum, to write out these booklets, to get this stuff into, somehow sneak it through past the superintendent and get it into the classrooms and to get it into these kids' heads. I don't know how it's possible, but the idea is that budgets for schools have always been ultra tight. Learning curriculums and proper student education has always been a struggle. And now on top of all that, you're going to allocate money and time to have these people put this into the curriculum? In any way does this make sense to a growing person? In any way does this make sense to the taxpayers of the community who want their kids to actually learn how to balance a checking account, how to make sure that when they graduate high school, they have some of the basic skills to go out there and compete in the workforce immediately, or to continue their education, maybe to become a lawyer, or maybe to become a doctor, or maybe to learn a trade like a plumber, or a welder, or an electrician. Some of the things that are extremely expensive. You ever tried calling a 24-hour plumber? Hope you got a credit card, because you're going to need it. Those dudes are expensive, and they're in demand, and their price is always going up because it's a specialty skill. So for all of this, all of a sudden you're going to insert all this other shit, which is not backed by anything but theoretical constructs. That's not bound. That's not really grounded in any major biology, any major scientific facts. It's just something. So that was the problem. I grew up, I am not a victim. I am a product, basically, thankfully not too much, of the participatory trophy generation. Those things started showing up around when I started, doing, baseball and basketball and whatever else was out there. Now, thankfully, as far as like participation trophies, I was never a big fan of having those. Never really a big fan of keeping them. But they started passing. I was a soccer coach for like 1 year, and they just gave them out to all the kids. It's like, you didn't win anything. You just got your ass kicked fucking 4-0. All right. But it's not like you need to give them a trophy. They didn't do anything to earn that trophy. Okay. They maybe earned some chicken nuggets at the end of the game, but for the most part, they didn't earn a trophy. So this participatory trophy stuff is warping a kid's ability of achievement, of discipline, of hard work. And this whole inclusion things, look, every time you try to include everybody in on something, you're going to leave somebody out. And obviously the dismantling of our language, the dismantling of our sciences is something that is extremely it's extremely destructive to the standard curriculum that is school. And schools' curriculums already have been crumbling for a long time. There was a major problem when it came to teaching proper history, major issue when it came to teaching geography. The languages were failing. English, I'm sure, has taken a serious hit. Math, I'm sure, has taken it. Math in places like California are definitely taking a serious hit, and New York included, because apparently math is racist. Don't understand that. So, it was something my sister showed me a book about diversity and inclusion, and about how essentially how all children who aren't of a certain color should be strapped with guilt from the moment they walk into their first classroom. And this was schools out of the Lakes region area in our great state. And it pissed a lot of parents off. And I was extremely annoyed about it because here's the thing. When you're going into a school, when you're going into a classroom, as a student, you've already got a lot of things to concern yourself with. Number one is making sure that you pass the freaking class. Number two is making sure that you have your homework all set up, that you have your curriculums taken care of, that you're making friends as well, just, being cordial with people and just learning how to be polite. You should not be walking into a classroom to automatically assume that you're some type of racist, or that you have privilege, or that you have some type of advantage over some people. Everybody's born with advantages in some way, shape, or form, okay? I'm not LeBron James, all right? I can't dunk a basketball. He can do that. He's gifted with it, and he works, and he trains really hard on top of that. So he gets to do that. I don't, so I got to basically sit on here and talk every week. So the idea, but it's always a challenge when you go into school, and you have to make sure that you are focused on only yourself and nobody else. Your idea of going to school and kind of fitting in is one thing, but going to school and learning and making sure that you have the proper skills to exit school and enter the workforce, if not immediately down the road, or if you were planning to travel with these skills and this knowledge, that would be good. If you wanted to continue your education, hey, that's fine too. But to walk in and all of a sudden have to make sure that you have to be careful with what you say or how you say it, and how it's interpreted, whether it's a microaggression, or whether it's racist, or whether it's sexist, or whether it's phobic, is not a way to get a student to want to come to school. Kids already have enough problems. It's so hard just going to school and trying to stay interested, and let alone just pass the schools, and then going to pass classes. And then on top of all that, if you are responsible enough or are capable enough of keeping up with your education, then there's other things like your extracurriculum stuff, whether it's in economics, or whether it's in art, or in drama, or in music, or in if you do like track and field, or baseball, or football, making sure that your studies are up so you can focus on this. Not this other stuff that's coming out from this bullshit progressive movement that's coming into our schools. That's now here and it's now in my state, and I think it's a problem. And there's getting, especially lately, I'm sure you guys have seen some type of news, there's a shit ton of pushback. A ton. People are tired of it. And they're tired of it in every race, of every face, and on every side of the fence, in every state. They're done. They're done with it. They're pushing back. And it's not going to be pretty. And these are the people you actually don't want to piss off. Okay? So the idea is all that matters is when a student enters the classroom is that they have the resources to excel in the classroom. That's it. It is their responsibility to make sure that they show up to class on time, to do their curriculum properly, to have access to resources as far as tutoring or for for food or nutrition and that type of stuff. If they need some type of counseling, obviously, or a nurse, there's that stuff available too. I get it. So, but this other stuff, these pronoun issues that are entering high school, the gender assignment stuff that's going on, or identity stuff that's going on, the diversity inclusion situation that's going on in schools is a major problem, because you don't want to be looking at other classmates, because they're your classmates. They're nothing else. Sometimes they're your friends, but overall they're your classmates. All shapes and sizes. It doesn't matter. That's your classmate. That could be your study partner. That could be your tutoring partner. That could be your partner in music class or in gym class. Doesn't matter. You should not be looking at them like they have more privilege than you, or you have more privilege than them, or you have some guilt over them, like you stole their cookies or you took their land. That's not stuff that should be going on inside of a child's mind when they're entering the classroom, when they're entering high school. Like they're all of a sudden either a victim of something that doesn't exist, or they are an oppressor, a victimizer, the moment they walk into school. That's so damaging to a child's mind. It's an absolute breakdown. So I'll get you to, this was the diversity and inclusion paperwork was assigned to schools in the Lakes region, and it caused a shit ton of outrage. Basically, and it's very cleverly worded. But now it's actually in the news, and it's turned into a lawsuit. But it's not by the people in the Lakes region. That issue is being handled separately. This issue is actually coming out of the Seacoast area school, namely Exeter, New Hampshire. I mean, that's like 10 minutes down the road for me. So this is from the New York Post, and let me show you the curriculum really quick I'm talking about. I mean, look at all this stuff that you have to deal with on a daily basis. From 7 a.m. to 2 o'clock, you have to literally hit, you have to hit every part of the body. If this was like a workout regimen, you're hitting every part of the body, every single day. Plus your extracurriculums, plus your homework, plus your studying. All that stuff going on. Do we really have time for this indoctrination bullshit? I don't think we do. And now one student's pretty pissed off because they got suspended for this. So students suspended, this is Mark Lungiero. Students suspended for saying there are only two genders, lawsuit claims. So this is a student at Exeter High School. A New Hampshire teenager is suing his school district after he was allegedly suspended, allegedly meaning he was suspended, from athletics for saying there are only, quote, two genders. The Exeter High School freshman said in the suit that he was hit with one game football suspension in September, stemming from a text conversation he had with another student off school grounds. The lawsuit was filed November 4th through an attorney with the Christian organization Cornerstone Action, with the claim that he stated a Catholic-based belief that there are only male and female genders. This was reported originally by the Portsmouth Herald. The kid's lawsuit also claims Exeter policy on non-binary gender identity and pronouns infringes on his First Amendment rights. Let me read that back to you. Policy. They have a policy on non-binary gender identity pronouns in this school. You have a policy on this? Somebody was paid to take the time out of their day to put this in the fucking curriculum, or put this in their school's policy. A public high school. And they have to be careful. They have to realize, like, Co Brown is right down the street, and Phillips Exeter Academy is right down the street. So the kid's lawsuit also claims, so this infringes on his First Amendment rights. First Amendment, freedom of speech. Policy says students have the right to be addressed by a name and pronoun of their choosing related to their gender identities, and also say those who don't recognize other gender identities or pronouns are violating the policy. The student doesn't deny he violated the policy, the lawsuit says, according to the Herald. He, in fact, denied and will continue to deny that any person can belong to any gender other than male or female, the lawsuit says. The student, it goes on, will never refer to any individual person using plural pronouns such as they, using contrived pronouns such as z, which is like z, zim, zer, or with any similar terminology that reflects values with the student does not share. The suspension came after the student had been engaged in a conversation on the bus over gender with friends over the perceived difficulty in using plural pronouns for an individual in Spanish. I'll bring that part back up in a minute, which uses masculine and feminine plurals, according to the suit. Latino and Latina. Not Latinx. No, there isn't. Quote, no, there isn't. There are only two genders, the student allegedly replied. A female student overheard the discussion, that bitch, and allegedly told the student there were more than two genders. Quote, no, there isn't. There are only two genders, the student allegedly replied. That conversation continued in a contentious text exchange, which was shown to him by school administrators in printed form when he was suspended, the Herald reported. School Superintendent David Ryan told the Associated Press the school was reviewing the complaint will be able to share a statement once we have completed that review. Well, so if you, in school, it's super important that you get your basic shit squared away first before you go out to La La Land and try to figure out what gender you think you may not be. And basically, your brain's not even developed to the age of 25 anyways. You're trying to sort all this emotional and hormonal stuff out at the moment in time that this policy is basically right up your ass. So, all this stuff going on, you're trying to figure out what your life is, what your direction of your life is going to go, how you're going to mix and mingle with the opposite sex, because that's obviously going to come about. You have to figure that stuff out on your own. There's so much other shit that you have to worry about, that you have to learn to understand on a basic fundamental level, that this flips it on its head. It's important that when you're in school, you learn about biology to its chromosomal level. Okay? It's important that when you're at this age, your nutrition is on point. You can't go college full ramen noodles every night. You can't do that. You have to have proper nutrition. You have to have proper exercise. You have to have these things on the basic core level so that you can succeed in school. Sleep is also important. You need to understand science at its basic level, its core level. You need to understand math at its core level. You need to understand history, how it not only on its core basic level and all the things in history that took place, but the things that preceded situations like this that may or may not have caused the downfall of large societies, large civilizations, whether it was the Romans, whether it was the Greeks, whether it was whatever, the Russians, the Soviets. Who knows? If situations like this led to the downfall of civilizations, that might be something worth learning about. You need to understand English and Spanish at its basic levels. You need to understand its basic fundamentals. You can't just say everything is a construct. That's not, because it's not true. That's not true. Things aren't just a construct. Things actually exist. The only way you're going to tell me things aren't a construct is if it's proven that we are actually living in a simulation. And if you are living in a simulation, who's playing the game, and what's their situation, and what's their gender, and who taught them, and who helped them build the civilization. Something is built out of concrete. Okay? But other than that, and saying, hey, we're not in a simulation, other than saying we're in a simulation, look, we understand the body at a chromosomal level. We understand how to cure illnesses, how to treat illnesses, diseases. We understand pregnancy. We understand who makes the babies. We understand this. We understand who creates them, who feeds them, who takes care of them. We understand human biology at an amazing level, and we want to throw all that away at a time where people should be learning exactly who they are. It takes years for somebody to learn who they are. You need to understand what you are, what you are made out of first, before you hit the age of 25 and figure, you know what, I don't know, maybe I'm just going to go this way. At 25 or 21, you go ahead and do that. But when it comes to when you're in school, learn the basic shit first. This other stuff about letting people play around in fucking fantasy land is horrible. These people are going to be terrible workers. They are. They're going to be terrible workers. Oh, what do you mean? Google and freaking Yahoo and Apple hire them all the time. Who says that working there is a great environment? Who says walking into an office every single day is a great environment? For whom? I guarantee you, a person like this who works in a lot of the offices that I used to work with will be nothing but a disruption. And I'm not talking about people who are... No, I'm just saying like, people like this with their pronouns, their identity, and they're completely focused on that. If this is the stuff that they're focused with specifically when they're in school, guess what? They're going to be absolutely disruptive in the workplace. Because they're so focused on themselves, they're not focused on what they can provide the workforce. They're not focused on how they can help and how they can assist and how they can make the company a better company. They're just focused on being violated and being victimized and being microaggressed. It's just not, they're too busy worrying about themselves when shit needs to get processed, when shit needs to get fixed, when shit needs to get built. These people are too focused about their identity. That makes them extremely narcissistic, extremely selfish, extremely sociopathic. That's a dangerous person. When you instill these things at a high school and a middle school level, it makes these people a damage to society. When you're an adult and you get the proper education and you still decide that maybe there's something going on, fine, you go do you. But guess what? Nobody's a pony, nobody's a fucking unicorn, nobody's a rainbow, nobody's a cat. You're a fucking student. And your responsibility as a student is to learn the basic skills needed so that you can contribute to this planet. Whether you're making solar panels or you are making moldings for, wrenches. Doesn't matter. If you can contribute, you have a say. If you don't contribute, you don't have a say. And that's obviously showing right now with the amount of people that are leaving workforce because it's like, hey, we're just going to get paid. We're just going to sit on our asses. And anything that you say that makes people uncomfortable, all of a sudden they just go ahead and they take your entire text frame and they send it off to the superintendent and you end up getting suspended from the football game. That's embarrassing. That's embarrassing to one's ego who works very hard to get on that football team. It's hard to be a football player. Really hard to be a football player. It's hard enough just being a student, but it's hard enough to be a football player as well. So this kid gets his pride messed with and gets suspended for a game or so because he violated a policy written by some asshole who's obviously getting paid way too fucking much and probably shouldn't have a job at a school. And first of all, they're talking about when it comes to, what was he? See here. Something to do with, it's right up here, actually. It's about the Spanish, right. Came after engaged in a conversation over the bus over gender with friends perceived difficulty using plural pronouns for an individual in Spanish, which uses masculine and feminine plurals. Spanish only uses masculine and feminine plurals. There's no such thing as Latinx. Latinx overly complicates a beautiful language. There's no need to screw it up. As a matter of fact,
it's progressive, but creating a term for people that don't identify with either male or female to me is not progressive. To me, that's confusion. I personally think that we're seeing more and more of Latinx because the people advocating for it are elitist. They're really loud and they push their issues out into the world as if they're the biggest ones, when in reality there's much bigger issues facing the Latino community, such as high levels of diabetes, poverty rate, illiteracy, high numbers of incarceration. There's so many other issues that we could be dealing with as a Latino community, and the way we identify ourselves, I would say, is at the bottom of the list. But because these people are so loud, this puts media outlets and many other people in a position of pressure where they feel like they have to adopt the term, otherwise they're not being inclusive enough.
That is Edward Rami. You can find him on YouTube. Okay? That's stop saying Latinx, it's Latino. Edward Rami. He has over 3,000 subscribers. Go ahead and check him out. So basically, he states that there are so many other issues going on just within his own community. Poverty, diabetes, incarceration. These are other things that they could be focused on And yet the Latinx community, this is the one thing. So that you're basically telling the Spanish community that they have to incorporate something that's never existed in their own language. You're telling, so what, you got a bunch of white people telling a bunch of fucking Spanish people they need to adopt this into their language? I don't think that's how it works. I'm sorry. That's not how it works. You can't do that. It's just, well, first of all, you won't do that. They'll just reject it. So in that language, other genders, non-binary genders, don't exist. They don't. At the end of the day, you are either this or that. Now, it is true. And I think one tribe somewhere out there, first of all, there is truth. There was a tribe where you did have non-binary or trans individuals actually physically within the community. But this was like it, so it has existed in time. But this is a very, 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 very small percentage. And to take these, remember what Edward Rami said. This is an extremely loud. These are extremely loud people steering the corporate narrative and making schools bow. Schools, colleges, and workforces and politicians bowing to these people. These lunatics, these really fucking loud people on Twitter that have no values to society. None whatsoever. Let's play that back again for what Edward Rami was saying, because it makes a lot of sense. All this other shit that they could be worrying about.
So I really want to make it clear that I'm not against adopting new words and new terms to identify us.
Right.
If it makes sense. If it's progressive.
If it makes sense.
Creating a term for people that don't identify with either male or female, to me, is not progressive. To me, that's confusion.
Confusion. It's confusing. Stop making shit so difficult, more difficult than it already needs to be. Keep it simple. The Spanish language is a strong language. It's one of the easiest to adopt, understand, learn. Okay? So why would you want to make it more confusing?
I personally think that we're seeing more and more of Latinx because the people advocating for it are elitists. They're
elitists. Keep that in mind. Who are these elitists? Are they just rich, powerful people who want to control? Seems like there's more of that going around lately.
Really loud, and they push their issues out into the world as if they're the biggest ones, when in reality,
yeah, like they're the big, like this is the biggest issue going on around. Not saying like funding education is not a problem, crime in a lot of these cities is not a problem, incarceration, health problems, there's so many other things that they could be worrying about. This is not even one of them. They're just what they're doing here is trying to make the little problems, we call them little problems, but they're not even problems at all. They're trying to create a problem. What they're trying to do is create a problem. Sorry, Eddie, I gotta turn you down for a little bit. There we go. It's not even they're trying to solve the little problems before the big problems. They're trying to create a problem. Try to create a problem that is going on in the community that never existed to begin with. And if it did, it was so minute it didn't matter. That affected a very small amount of the population. And then what they do is they take that little problem, they advertise it as it's a huge problem. And then they say we can fix it. And when they supposedly fix it by implementing policy, they look like heroes to their voting base. Because yay, we're inclusive, and yay, we support everyone and we love everyone. No, you gotta be nice to Sarah. She just switched her gender. That's not how it works. And yet, while you do that, while you take a little problem that didn't exist to begin with and pretend like it's a major problem, you run on this problem and you push policy on this problem and you get this problem signed into law or signed into school curriculums, all those other problems are still there. Student dropout rates, crime, whether or not the parents are home, latchkey kids, where they're going to go to school, rising tuition rates, health and wellness, These are other issues that you completely ignored from the very beginning, and now we're going all the way to create a new problem that takes all these other problems, and by ignoring the major problems, such as the diabetes, the incarceration rates, and that Edward Rami, rightfully brought up, you ignore these problems by creating creating another problem that's not a problem. These other problems, these real problems, just continue to get worse, and they compound. So that these problems, these major problems, instead of them taking months to, soften, now take years to fix. And then they take years to fix. They take decades to fix. Now it could take generations to solve these problems. You realize when you fuck up one person, that's 30 years. You fuck up one person, that's 30 years of their life gone. That person's fucked the next 30 years. Okay? You go to a high school and you fuck up every person that comes out of that high school, that's the entire high school. That's a whole generation of kids screwed. Whether they don't have kids, whether they don't have mothers and fathers in the house, whether they're not properly taught the right history lessons, the right math, the right science, the right language, they don't even know what gender they are the minute they leave high school, they don't have the proper education, they don't have the right funding, or they don't have any understanding of money and value and effort and work and struggle and suffering. They don't have any values instilled upon them. They don't understand their own proper nutrition and effort. You just tell them that they're important, they're the world, they're everything, whatever you want, you're special, you are, the greatest thing ever. And whoever says otherwise is a bigot, a homophobe, a transphobe, a racist. And that person is just trying to keep you down. That's a victimizer. They are the oppressor. So you send these people off, and then they go from high school, where they already are instilled with all this bullshit, and you send them into college, where it's amplified even more. And then at the end of that, you just drop hundreds of thousands of dollars of college debt on top of them. And you send them off with even less skills, and now they have debt to a job that's going to pay them what? Going to pay them what? $15 an hour? $18 an hour? Shit, they have dispatchers in the state of New Hampshire. They paid $27,000 a year. They can't fill the positions. And you're going to get some non-binary Latinx person to fill that position? You don't want those people talking to your police officers, to your firemen, to your public works officials. You don't want... They'll just tell them to kick rocks. That's not going to happen. You can't... This isn't real. You realize... Let's see. Let me look up here. Let me look up an even bigger issue. According to this, you suspended this kid who works his ass off to get on the football team, who has a contested conversation with somebody about science and biology, basically, and according to his own value system and his faith, and of course the entire Spanish language and the Spanish community, that it's factual information in Spanish, masculine and feminine. That's it. That's how it is. When it comes to his faith, figure that out for yourself. People are their own faith. I don't know what else to tell you. But when it comes to being in high school, it's important that you learn biology. One of the most important things. So when it comes to the things that are hammering into, what's the percent? They talk about diabetes. This Edward Rami talks about diabetes in the United States. So, or with his own community. Let's just look up what's the percentage diabetes. Now, type 2 is something you bring upon yourself. Type 1, you can get type 1 from having type 2. Type 1 is something you're born with. Type 2 diabetes. So let's just do type 2 diabetes in the U.S. And let's just see the number. Okay. I should put in percentage. Percentage. All right. Significantly increased in the U.S. among youths from 10 to 19 years old. Incidence of type 2 diabetes remains stable among non-Hispanic whites and increase in all others, especially non-Hispanic blacks. Okay. NIDDK.NIH.gov. That's the same place that murdered puppies. Let's see here. Let me pop this up on the screen. Diabetes and facts. Diabetes occurs when your blood glucose, also called blood sugar, is too high. High blood glucose, i.e. eating too many refined carbohydrates, and no exercise, and just eating overall poor diet, can cause health problems over time. The main types of diabetes are type 1, type 2, and gestational. Total, an estimated 34.2 million have diabetes, 10.5% of the U.S. population. An estimated 26.9 million people of all ages have been diagnosed with diabetes, 8.2% of the U.S. population. Of the people diagnosed with diabetes, 210,000 are children and adolescents younger than 20 years of age, including 187 with type 1 diabetes. Undiagnosed, an estimated 7.3 million adults ages 18 or older. So 10% of the population, let's just say we'll cut that in half. 5% of the population are people that you shouldn't have any form of diabetes or any type of health problems whatsoever. Or shouldn't have any problems whatsoever. Now, as far as the other information, now this is from the NIH. I don't know. It's obvious. Well, actually, this is just diabetes. Now, I don't know. Let's see. Percentage of obesity in the United States, which is another issue that the Spanish community suffers from. See, it's funny, like, when a lot of these refugees come over from other countries, so they're obviously, especially the African refugees, like they came from like South Sudan or Cairo, or excuse me, not Cairo, but Kenya or Car or South Africa, anywhere, pick a South African country, whatever. They come over here. Their diet doesn't come with them. So their diet, whatever they were eating over there, they're not eating over here. They start eating more processed foods, more garbage, and then they start to become way less healthy than what they were taking in over there. Now, granted, if they were starving, I take that back. But generally, a lot of these people were eating relatively, what would you call them? Core foods. They were eating rice, or they were eating starches. They were eating basic fishes or basic foods, basic meats. They were eating stuff that was, on a level of, all right, they just eat this, this, and this, and this. They come over here, there's all kinds of processed shit. And we cater to that. Shit, you walk into Aldi's, the first thing you see is like a whole section of just garbage food. And when you have an EBT card or, those welfare cards that you get on like the first of the month, and then you go grocery shopping, they don't restrict what you can put in your system. They don't restrict what you can bring into your household. Granted, I'm pretty sure there was a sales rep, like a wholesale car guy that I used to know, and he would he would get like EBT cards, and he would buy like lobster and shit with it. Now, obviously, you shouldn't be allowed to buy like potato chips and cake and shit like that when you have, but I know I'm ranting on something completely different, but still, when it comes to all this stuff, you should be focused on the basic shit. When it comes to nutrition, you should be focused on the basic foods. If you're given an EBT card, you should be allowed to buy produce and meats and some canned goods and eggs and butter and cheese. Basic stuff that helps build a strong body so you could be a better person in the community. When it comes to school, you should be focused on the core things: math, science, English, health and wellness, science, biology, okay? Those things that allow you to get a better understanding of everything that is taking place within yourself so you can have a better understanding of yourself by the time you graduate high school. By implementing these bullshit policies of non-binary gender diversity inclusion shit, all you're doing is taking all those core values and certified facts and throwing them away. So that the minute the child approaches high school, they have no fucking clue what's going on. They don't know anything about themselves. They don't know what they want to be. They don't know what they're going to be. They don't know what problems they're causing, if any. They think they're the oppressors or the victims, when at the end of the day, they're just students. They're just students trying to pass, just trying to get by, get through each day, get their homework done, pass these fucking stupid classes, and get out of there. Now you're making some of them out to be victims and some of them out to be oppressors, like they're bad people. I feel bad for the student too, especially to work his ass off. You have to understand, to be a high school football player takes a lot of work. And it hits your pride when you all of a sudden get a suspension, even if it's for one game. So I don't know if there's been any updates on this, but I know it's a significant problem. And I know when I look at this curriculum here, for between 7 and 12, geography, biology, history, further maths, chemistry, media, English, physics, psychology, all these other things all this stuff that you cram into your standard daily learning chart when you go to school. There's no room for this other stuff. And there should never be. This is not stuff that should take place in high school or in middle school and in elementary school. It doesn't belong. It doesn't belong. All it does is cause more problems. You can deny. I will fight you on. I will fucking verbally fight you on this. This stuff does not belong in a classroom. It doesn't. In any way, shape, or form. There is too much other stuff to cover, because every time you install some of this diversity and inclusion stuff into a curriculum, you're taking something out. You're taking time away from something else. They could be learning about the Holocaust. They could be learning about the Russian Revolution. They could be learning about cellular mitosis or metamorphosis, or how plants work, or how cells work, or about how sexual reproduction takes place, how a baby is properly cared for, how math it shapes everything that you do in one way or shape or form. How the proper English, leaving high school with proper English and proper grammar is super important. And you're going to throw other fucking fantasy space ball words in there? Forget it. It's not going to happen. It can't happen. It needs to stop. These people who are inserting these curriculums or putting this stuff in policy need to be fucking fired. And Blick, I'll tell you something. These people you think I'm talking about, they exist. They exist and they get paid. Matter of fact, the people who are being paid to solve the homeless crisis in California are paid hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. They're in positions of extreme importance to solve the homeless crisis in especially in Los Angeles. They're getting paid hundreds of thousands of dollars, and they're not solving it. They're not solving it. It's like they're in business to make homeless people, not to take away from the homeless situation. And these people who are diversity and inclusion counselors or diversity and inclusion administrators, that means that somebody at the school had to hire for that position instead of looking for another PE teacher or looking for another science teacher and compensating them appropriately so that your child gets a better education in some of these other studies, like math or science. Instead, nope, we got to hire a diversity and inclusion counselor or diversity, inclusion, or, counselor or administrator. Okay, how much is that? You know how much administrators cost? You know how much these secretaries and all that shit cost to bring it to a school? A lot of money. They get paid more than a lot of the teachers. Okay, where does that come from? Where does that money come from? It comes from a budget. Where does that budget come from? It comes from the town to approve. It comes from the town. Who funds the town? The people who live in it. The people who live in that town need to know that the taxes that they are spending to live in that community are being used to hire these fucking retards to boil your children's brains. It's awful. There's so much else that needs to be talked about in schools. You can only make a school so safe. Remember, I was in high school during the years of Jonesboro, Paducah, Kentucky, and Columbine. Okay? I know a thing or two about schools being unsafe. I had to fight the fucking trailer park kids every other day. Okay? I know about schools possibly being unsafe. But I also knew about school being a challenge in terms of, I just need to pass these classes. I need to run track, do my part as a senior, and graduate. And guess what? I did it. And I had plenty of obstacles in my way just as a normal everyday student. And school was already hard enough and boring enough. So now you're going to add all this stuff in, so you have to watch what you're saying. The whole point of school is to learn and make mistakes and figure out your language and get wrong answers. But instead you get wrong answers because you fucked up somebody's gender identity, and the next thing you know, instead of just getting a wrong answer at a test, you get suspended. Great. So you're already going to hurt the kid's freaking self-esteem even more because you fucked up their... Look, if you can't get ahead no matter what you do, no matter what you say, then why try? Because the moment you know that you're going to walk into that school, you just are so worried about what you're going to say or what you're going to think or what opinion you're going to have or how much effort you're going to put forward because there's somebody else looking to drag you down because they have their own fucking problems and they were improperly taught, they're in malnutrition, and they're just looking to drag you down because that's what communists do. And this shit that they're teaching now in schools by handing out these pamphlets, I wish I had the pamphlet in front of me. I didn't bring it with me. But let me tell you, it's fucking hilarious. It looks like a Saturday Night Live sketch nowadays. So here's my thoughts to what parents can do. If your child comes home and shows up with this pamphlet stuff, you need to cause a fucking shitstorm. You need to cause a fucking shitstorm and find out who wrote it. You need to find out what the positions that they have open for these things to actually happen. And if nothing's done at the school, you need to pull your child out of that school. Remember, this is your child. This is your lifeblood. This is everything that you put all of your hopes and dreams and fears into. You have a responsibility to make sure that child gets a proper education and a proper upbringing. And if that school is not going to provide it for you, then you need to take your child out of that school and put them in one where they can succeed. That's your responsibility as a parent, as a grandparent, as an aunt, as an uncle, as a friend, as a neighbor. It's up to you. You'll have disagreements about other things, whether it comes to maybe it's race or religion or politics, but one thing's for certain. When you put this stuff into the curriculum, the child's not going to learn. All you're going to do is tear apart everything that we built up so far. The student did nothing wrong. He pointed out a fact that in the Spanish language, there's only two genders, masculine and feminine. Talk to the Spanish people on the block. Any Spanish person, guess what? They'll say the same thing. They'll say the same thing. Now, are some things on a spectrum? Most certainly. But when it comes to biology, there's not much leeway there. There's not much leeway there. So I can't steer away from this stuff anymore. And I mean, I've joked about it in the past. I brushed up against it with some things, but here it's plain and fucking simple. Child should not get suspended because some bitch fucking ratted him out via text message, where he strongly stated factually that in the Spanish language is masculine and feminine. She overheard the discussion, so she got involved and told the student that there's more than two genders. Number one, she doesn't have much evidence on her side where he does. And this discourse should have been... Now, let's just say maybe he wasn't right. Let's just say, for example, maybe he wasn't right. Do you think there's a better way this discourse could have been had or debated? Instead, no, he's automatically wrong because he's claiming something that we've claimed for fucking hundreds of years. And because he's automatically wrong, no, he's claiming biology. He's wrong. Instead of having a conversation with the student, you just automatically suspend them. Whether you're suspending him from school or suspending him from extracurriculars such as football. It's wrong either way. You just automatically said that child's wrong no matter what. According to our policy, kick the child off the team for one game. Nope. And when you do something like that, you get something called a lawsuit. And the lawsuit was filed on November 4th through an attorney with the Christian organization Cornerstone Action, with the claim that he stated a Catholic-based belief. Now, is that lawsuit going to pan out? Here's the thing. That's another thing. Let's say he settles with the school. Number one, he's going to pull his money out of that school. He's going to pull himself out of that school, and he's not going to go there anymore, or he's going, or who knows what, because he's obviously embarrassed. You know, he's named in a suit against the school, and this money has to come from somewhere. So let's just say they settle or they lose, then Exeter High School has to pay, and that comes from the taxpayers again. All because you can't stick to the fucking basics. This stuff, as once again Edward Rami stated, it's done by elitists. Now, obviously, he's speaking specifically about Latinx, the whole Latinx thing. But what he says also reverberates for the rest of language. That you have a common principled understanding. That you don't just, not everything is a construct. You have to have basic solid facts. You have agreed facts by scientists that this is the case. And we use this to build a society that functions. When you tear down on that foundation, everything falls apart and you start getting lost. Lawyers are not cheap. I know. I lived through 2021 and lost my entire 401k on a lawyer. Well, I didn't lose it. It was actually well worth spent and I won. But still, I knew that I learned this year that lawyers are not cheap. And Exeter High School is going to learn the same thing. If this goes the distance, that high school is in a shitload of trouble. Now, where do I stand on this? Obviously, plain and simple. I stand with the student. I stand with his ability for the First Amendment. I stand by what he said as factually correct on both counts. When it comes to biology and when it comes to the Latin language. And that Latin language part is backed by Edward Rami. So, it's extremely upset. You look at this curriculum map, kids got enough to worry about. Parents got enough to worry about. They don't need to worry about whether you accidentally offended somebody. Fucking get over it. Get over it. You're in school. School is a jungle. Okay? Microaggressions, you need to absorb some bruises and bumps when you're in school. It's the only way you're going to truly evolve as a human being. And that's, I think, where I'm going to end this podcast. Thank you for listening, watching, and subscribing. You can actually subscribe to this podcast anywhere where it's available. Apple Podcast, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, Podcast Addict, Spotify. And then, of course, when it comes to the video portions of this podcast, you can find me on Facebook, facebook.com/POS Sarcasm, YouTube, Positive Sarcasm Podcast, and on Rumble under Positive Sarcasm. So you can pretty much find me anywhere. Questions, concerns, comments, go directly to my website, positivesarcasm.com. Go through all my stuff there. Check out my other YouTube channels, Positive Sarcasm, the Concept channel, or original channel, and, of course, Positive Sarcasm Reaction, which I do need to do another reaction to some music. I've been kind of busy with some other things. So, in the meantime, we're at 56 minutes. I think we're done here. Exeter High School, get your shit together. But thank you for listening, watching, and subscribing. And I'll talk to you all actually next week. I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to drop like a Thanksgiving, thank you. Like just a quick, like maybe 10-minute podcast. And then I'm going to take that Sunday off. And then we'll come back big and strong going forward for the rest of this year. But in the meantime, thank you for listening, watching, and subscribing. And I'll talk to you all very early next week. Recorded here from the Sandbox. This has been a Positive Sarcasm presentation.